Hey guys, it's Ryan with My Listing Club. In this video, we'll be continuing on with the educational series, How to Build an Online Business with the MyListing WordPress theme. As we've done throughout this series, we'll use the MyListing project template as our guide. And you can get your hands on this template by going to the MyListing Club website. That's mylisting.club and scrolling down the homepage just a little bit. Click on that MyListing project template card. And this product page is going to tell you what this template is all about. As far as what it includes, a video walkthrough, which you're actually going to get to see the walkthrough as part of this video series firsthand, and also a change log down here at the bottom just to keep you updated with everything I'm adding to it on a weekly basis, pretty much like a daily basis at this point. And then at the very top also I break down what versions of software is included up till. So WordPress 6.0, MyListing 2.9, Elementor Pro 3.7, and then all the minor revisions of those. Okay, you can get your hands on this template as a one-off purchase, meaning you can just purchase it straight up. You can also get it as part of a starter site purchase. I'll go ahead and include that with any starter site you might buy. If you want my ongoing changes, to be able to download this template as many times as you want and capture all those changes that I'm putting out each day, each week, you can do that by becoming an Ultimate member or by being a care plan client. Okay, let's go ahead and close this down and look back and see where we are with this template. As I've said throughout this series, that we work top down, left to right, and if you follow that process, you will have success in building a MyListing site from beginning to end in an online business with the MyListing theme. Just follow that top down, left, right, and you'll be pretty much good to go in most situations, okay? So where we are now is we're still working through the MyListing column. There's a lot to cover, as you can imagine, in this column. And we are now looking at the user roles. So what are they? How do we set them up? And all that stuff. So let's go ahead and jump over to the dashboard of this MyListing site. And this is just basically a bare bones MyListing site that we're testing all of this stuff with. Okay, let's go ahead and look at user roles. For that, we go under Theme Tools and click on User Roles. So what we see in this first section, Accounts and Roles, is a little bit of duplication, meaning, so if we go over into WooCommerce, Settings, Accounts and Privacy, there's some overlap here. So enable user registration, for example. So that setting ties into this WooCommerce setting up here. Allow customers to log into an existing account during checkout. Let's go ahead and toggle this on and see. So let's make a duplicate here. Let's go ahead and toggle this setting on and see what that changes. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh this WooCommerce page. So we see by toggling that on in the user role side with MyListing that it checks this box right here, allow customers to create an account on the My Account page. So conversely, if I was to now uncheck this and save, it should remove this enable user registration toggle here. Or not remove it, but disable that setting. And there we go. So you see there's some overlap. This one is an overlap, and this one is an overlap. Okay, so those three are tied into WooCommerce. You can set them in either place. Yeah, totally up to you there. The next item up is the default account type. So your option is customer here. Now I want to point out this is different than the default WordPress user role. So if we go under settings for WordPress and then general, by default, the new user role for WordPress is going to be subscriber. Okay, so basically what that role means is that you can just manage your own profile. That's basically what that means. It's the base level role, unless you do some custom roles. Okay, this one is different. Customer has a different meaning, but it's fine that MyListing uses this because they're considered customers, right? Really, like, all there really is to say about that. The setting is fine. Now you can get creative here and do different things, but this is going to work for a majority of installs out there. Okay. The last item I want to mention in this particular section is the reCAPTCHA, the Google reCAPTCHA. I do not recommend you use this for multiple reasons. It's clunky, it adds a performance hit to your website, and there are better ways to do this. And I recommend the CleanTalk plugin for that. It just, from a centralized location, CleanTalk allows you to manage all of the spam protection on your website and many other areas throughout your MyListing website. The other thing too is if you use the reCAPTCHA, it's set in so many different places. It's harder to manage. It takes longer to manage. I just wouldn't use it in my opinion. Okay, so that's it for the accounts and roles section. Let's move on down to the user roles and permissions. So like I said, customer is going to be your default role. You can change this name to be whatever you want. So we can call this, we'll call this a business user for fun. The business user, we're saying, can add listings, and that's going to do a host of other things. It's going to allow them to view statistics and things like that. And I break this all down in the project template, what all this includes. Can switch role, it's just like it sounds. Maybe they want to switch to a different role to clean up their dashboard and clean up the noise. Maybe they don't need to see the stats. Maybe they don't need to add listings, that sort of thing. And then registration form fields. So this is just simply allowing the users to create a more detailed profile. So out of the box, you can do email, username, and password, which is standard for WooCommerce. But let's just say we wanted to add all of these things. Let's add first name. Let's just add all of these. So I want to show you how this looks and works. Let's move first name to the top, last name, email, username, password, display name. Put that up there. About yourself, so like a description, put your image in there, and then your social networks. All right, let's go ahead and keep that there, and then let's enable an alternate account type. So this is the alternate role. Let's call this one regular user. So it's not a business user, just a regular old basic user. We'll call it basic user. How about that? The basic user can't add listings, and they can switch role if they want. And we're just going to leave the basics here. So email, username, and password. We'll leave all that the same. And we'll save our changes. All right, so let's pull up the login page, registration page for this website. Okay, we actually need to toggle on enable user registration, so let's do that. Let's go ahead and do the password and username automatically. Okay, that's set. We'll go ahead and refresh this page here. Oh, sorry, still thinking about it here. Okay, register. Here we go. All right, so here is our options. Like here's the business role we created and the basic user. So those are the options, okay? So we can go ahead and put in their information. My name is, this is my dog's name for anybody that doesn't know. My name is Karis Logan, and I'm a dog. Profile picture, we can go ahead and we'll just put the MyListing Club logo in here. Social networks, we'll go ahead and add those. Let's do Facebook. Okay. So let's do sign up, finished our sign up here. Okay, so Karis is now registered for our website, and if we go up under her user profile, so we go to account details, and we see here all that information is in here. They can manage their profile picture, their social networks, and all those things are used to seeing there. Also in here is the ability to switch their user role. Since they're already registered, you're now giving them the opportunity to switch their role if they choose. So right now, they can see as the business role, they could see their listing if they had one in the stats. But then if they switch over to the, sorry, it's taking a little bit to load. So if they switch over to basic, then that's going to drop off, that ability to see that information. There's another important thing I wanted to point out here. Let's go ahead and duplicate this tab. Let's go to the author page. So if you type in your domain name / author and then the name of the user. Let's see. That should come up. Sorry, bear with me here while I find this here. All right, let's go to users. Oh, okay. Sorry. So it came up with my name in here. So let's go ahead and do author. There we go. I think it's because I was already in the system there. So my name was stuck in there. All right, so if you do the /author and then the name of the user account, so in this case it was, so Ryan was the username. So if you put domain /author / the username, that's going to give you their author profile, okay? So this shows we have no listings, and this is the about text we put in and the social networks, obviously. So now let's say this person was going to switch to a regular user account, right? If we look over at the user role, settings, we're saying that the business user gets all of those profile fields. We're not saying that the basic user gets a profile picture. They're not getting social networks, and they're not getting the about description, okay? So that's, when we switch over to this basic user role, all of these profile fields that are not included here should drop off, right? But they don't. So let's go ahead and look at that. So let's do a switch to basic user. Let's click that. Confirm. Okay, so we know now that we are a basic user because it says over here on the right, switch to business user. You also notice that since we switched, like I said, they've now lost access to the listings, the stats. Okay, that dropped off. But what I really wanted to point out here was, let's refresh this. You see how their about profile image is still there, their about text is still there, their social networks are still there. Those did not drop off. I opened a feature request just yesterday with the MyListing team to get this in there. And there's a couple reasons. One is I could see this being an issue for GDPR. So let's say, they've got some information entered in there and they realize like we want that information pulled out. We don't want that stored on your website. Even though they switched to a different role that doesn't include that, that data stays behind and there's no way that they can remove that themselves. Okay? So I just want you to be aware of that whatever they set in their profile when they're like that top tier user role that you have, that information cannot be cleared out by the user. Okay? Let me go ahead and check my notes and see if there's anything else I need to cover here. We cover the default account type, why you shouldn't use reCAPTCHA, roles and permissions. Yeah, so this one pro tip I have, consider when people go to do their profile when they register and stuff, you got to weigh the options of giving them too many options for fields when they sign up, because some people could just be lazy and not have the time or don't want to take the time to go through and fill out all of these. But as you can see, when you dive into each of these, you can make some require, some not. So that helps. I would just be a little cautious of making all of these required, because that could cause user abandonment. They just get frustrated, like, I don't want to put all this stuff in here. Just something to keep in mind there. And there's also something to be said for keeping your registration forms really short and sweet. Now, they can, as you can see here, show in the registration form. You can always uncheck that, and then once they create their profile, then they can go in and they can still address those profile fields. They just don't have to do it as part of the registration process. Okay? Yeah, so just remember that those fields can also be fine-tuned, and you want to go in there and do that. All right, I think that knocks down user roles. Let's go ahead in this video, and we'll also take care of direct messages. So for direct messages, we go up under Theme Tools, and next one down, we drop out of user roles into direct messages. And by default, direct messaging is enabled. But one thing you need to keep in mind, another pro tip, even though it says it's enabled, it won't work unless you got to first toggle this off, save your changes, toggle this back on, and save your changes. Then once you do that, the actual icon on the website will be working, so they can start direct messaging people. Okay, so that's this right here. Until you do that, you'll kind of see like this dimmed out version of this icon. You can still kind of hover over it, and it looks like it's clickable, but it doesn't do anything. So you got to go through that process I just showed you to actually get that in there. Okay. What else did I want to point out about this? I want to point out the downsides of using this. If I click on, first and foremost, there's a performance hit. If you're using direct messaging, the moment you enable this and you keep it on your site, and the more it's used by concurrent users, meaning users are using this at the same time across your website is going to take a performance hit. I don't know what performance that hit is exactly in terms of severity, but it is going to take a performance hit, no doubt. Okay. Moderation limitation. There's no profanity checkers. There's no anything like that. That people can message anybody they want that's registered on your platform, say anything they want to those people, and there's nothing they can do about it. There's nothing you can do about that to block that without implementing some third-party solution, possibly that does blocking of certain keywords and stuff. Okay, the users can block each other. So if someone does just spam someone or say something really nasty to somebody, they can be blocked. But the problem with that is like your reputation has already possibly taken a hit. They see your website as being not properly controlled, not taking the right measures to protect its users, and all of those types of things. So it's kind of like spam it with forms and stuff. It might be too late. Like they already might be so angry or whatever term you want to use there, and they might leave your site. Okay. Usage tracking, you can't, the direct messaging that's up here in the header, there's no tracking for that. While there is tracking within the single listings, let me see if I have a listing here. Yeah, so you see this direct messaging. You can also add it to the cover, but anywhere that you have direct message implemented on your single listings, that will be tracked. But the tracking of what's up here in the header, that's not tracked. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. The top one obviously enables direct messaging capability, across the site. That's pretty self-explanatory. Actually, before I go into that, so once you go into there and you can click this compose button, you can search for any user on the website. Okay, there's nothing blocking them from finding out everybody that's registered on your site. I mean, granted, they don't get a ton of information, but they could still just jump in here and start messaging everybody. Okay, you don't have control over that unless you do some code snippets or something along those lines. But what if you wanted to block that ability just to pick and choose anybody? What you can do is toggle off the compose message feature. Let's wait for that setting to stay there. All right, let's go ahead and refresh this. And let's start another message. We see that the compose box is gone. Okay, so there's no way that you can start a conversation from here. So at this point, you might as well get rid of this direct messaging feature from your header. So you can hide that with some CSS, right? So what that means is they're forced to go through the single listing to make those connections over direct messages. Okay, so that is that. Yeah, that covers that. In this video, I'm also going to go ahead and tackle social logon, because there's not a whole lot that I can help you with this one, because you need to get your own accounts for Facebook and Google. I do include a guide within the task card, so you're going to get a guide to my social login setups for MyListing. Okay, let's go ahead and check that out. So by default, these are off. That makes sense. So let's just say you want to enable with Google, sign in with Google. You just toggle this. You follow my guide. You punch in the client ID and all the other stuff that the guide tells you to do, and say update here. Once you do that, your users are going to get presented with a button to click and sign in with Google. This is really nice because it helps reduce overall friction with people registering for your websites. They don't have to come up with a username and password. They can just use something that they already have, okay? Yeah, I think that is about it for this video. And that is it for this video. And yeah, enough of my rambling. Please subscribe so you know when the next video of the series comes out, and any of the videos that I do in the future for MyListing. And hope all's well. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.